only 18 rape convictions were recorded in Nigeria's legal history up to November 2015.
Well, this is not far-fetched from the reason that aspect of stigmatization as well as more stigmatization for fear of being labeled, you are the rape victim or you've been sexually harassed is one of the reasons identified as reason not being reported, not having this reported by victims of this incident. Well, making it difficult to actually ascertain this number or the data to get higher.
All right. Now, that notwithstanding, records have it that 79% of sexual victims are women, only 21% are men, and that 51% are harassed by supervisors, while 12% receive threats of termination if they fail to comply with their request. Now, international conventions and instruments have universally recognized human rights for protection against sexual harassment and the right to work with dignity.
Now, the question you asked, why is this on the rise? Well, just like we said, loss of data or not inadequate data is actually fueling that, which is now making us to know that, okay, it's on the rise or it's on the decline. Now, how can such incidences be addressed? Are tertiary institutions and even other bodies actually ready to actually look into these areas? Well, these are some of the questions that we'll be seeking answers to as the bill is still before the National Assembly. We said the Senate as part, but before the House of Representatives, there are issues that actually have to be looked into again. Well, these questions, as well as your other areas of thoughts, will be looked into as we discuss sexual harassment in our tertiary institutions today on Good Morning Nigeria. Welcome to the program. My name is Blessing Abu, and this is showing live on the network service of the NTA.
And I'm Kirian Umayo, joining Blessing to welcome you to the program. And as usual, we'll be bringing you companion segments, which include newspaper review, business, sports, foreign and entertainment news. And it's now time for the morning news with Ogwa Vivian Onyedibia. Hello, Ogwa. What's on the news this morning?
Well, a lot is Kirian. Good morning, Blessing. Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome to the news. The 78th meeting of the National Economic Council has ended in Abuja with a resolve to take far-reaching emergency measures towards improving the state of prisons in the country. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that after being briefed by the Minister of Interior and the Controller General of Prisons on the state of the prisons, Council resolved that whatever needs to be done to improve the situation must be done with dispatch.
That there should be emergency situation in terms of our prisons, so that these people that are supposed to be reformed while there should not be further hardened.
And moving on, Acting President Yemi Osinbajo has approved the appointment of new resident electoral commissioners. They are Professor Godwill Obioma, Abia State, James Loliam Apam, Benue State, Dr. Nwachukwu Oji, Ebonyi State, Dr. Ilo Joseph Valentine Chooks, Enugu State, Dr. Nentawe Goshwe Yilwada, Plateau State, and Umar Ibrahim for Taraba State. Others are Emeka Onona Madu Joseph, Imo State, Obo Evanga, Cross River State, Professor Francis Chukwemeka Ezionu, Anambra State, Dr. Bria Franklin, Bayelsa State, Ibrahim Abdullahi, Adamawa State, and Agboke Mutiu Olaleke, Ogun State. Also reappointed as electoral commissioners are Hussaini Halilu Pai for the FCT and Alhaji Ahmad Makama for Bauchi State. A statement signed by the Director Press of the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation indicates that the appointments have been confirmed by the Senate and therefore takes off immediately. Well, taxpaying citizens have a right to hold government accountable and demand service delivery. Acting President Yemi Osinbajo at the launch of Voluntary Assets and Income Declaration Scheme said improving the tax system is a painful but worthy cause. Finance and Economic Correspondent Leah Katum Babatunde reports that chief among the tax defaulters identified by the acting president are the high net worth self-employed professionals and companies.
To offer a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to those in default to regularize their tax affairs. In exchange for full and honest declaration, taxpayers will receive immunity from prosecution, forgiveness of penalty and interest that is due on unpaid taxes, and the full assurance that all information provided will remain confidential.
And so today we need to have a step change in the issue of tax payment and tax compliance in Nigeria.
And in the meantime, Acting President Yemi Osinbajo has signed an executive order backing the Voluntary Assets and Income Declaration Scheme, which will last between July 1st, 2017 and 31st of March 2018. The acting president also declared that every Thursday of the week will be a day of further enlightenment on tax policies and for welcoming new sets of taxpayers. He says the initiative is not only about boosting government revenues, but also provides platform for people to hold government accountable. With the development, the acting president says Nigeria is now a party to the new global standard on automatic exchange of information, which will kick off in 2018. And moving on, a federal government delegation to Beijing, China, has finalized plans aimed at improving the power supply situation in Nigeria. The delegation, led by the chairman, Senate Committee on Science and Technology, Professor Robert Ajayi Borofis, focused on the issue of manufacturing transformers in Nigeria, high-voltage testing facility, and solar energy. A two-day meeting between commandants of military training centers of excellence in the West African sub-region and the ECOWAS Commission is discussing, among other issues, conflict in the sub-region. Defense correspondent Isaac Nkuma reports that the meeting is to strategize on training programs and research to curb the trend of insecurity in the sub-region, as well as the role of ECOWAS standby force.
Our region is not yet free from threats of terrorism. We cannot therefore fold our arms and wait until there is a threat before we begin to prepare. In this vein, ECOWAS is exploring the possibility of training our standby forces in demining due to the frequent use of mines by terrorists.
In today's unstable world, regional cooperation is and will remain critical to the prevention of armed conflicts and the maintenance of international peace and security.
And still on security, police authority has enjoined the public to continue to have confidence in the system, saying it has an internal mechanism to ensure its men and officers do not compromise in any case before it. First Public Relations Officer, Chief Superintendent of Police, Jimoh Moshood, gave the assurance while giving an update on the second autopsy report of the suspected murder of a 200-level university student, Joy Odama.
The Inspector General of Police is concerned in the fact that officers and police personnel that are involved in investigation don't compromise. From the findings, the toxicology analysis and autopsy report performed by the second pathologist, that's Dr. Wisin Hahiwu, indicated that Joy Odama died from carbon monoxide poisoning from generator fume. The toxicology analysis ruled out cocaine poison, which contradicts the opinion of Dr. Paul Jibril, who performed the first inconclusive autopsy.
Well, that's the news for now. The rest of the program continues with Kirian and Blessing after this break.
If you hear a bomb explosion or gunshots of an active shooter, that might be a terror attack. At such times, always remember 3 action words: run, hide, report. Don't try to run towards the terror scene to save the situation, because there might be a second bomb blast or another attack. Run far away and take cover. Make sure you are safe first. Yes, it is in our nature to sympathize over the hurt, but remember, only trained personnel can help in such situations. When in a secured environment, promptly call relevant authorities and help will come. For anonymous reporting, call 09630-3250-5 or 0813-2222-106. If you see something, say something. Nigeria, unite. against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture. Cadbury Bournvita now comes in an attractive new 500-gram refill pack. Simply open and reseal after use to retain the chocolatey and creamy taste. Cadbury Bournvita. Prepare to win.
All right, you are still watching Good Morning Nigeria, and it's now time for business. Now, Economic Watchers say even though there are structural issues in the Nigerian economy that may keep growth below levels enjoyed prior to oil price slump in 2014, the outlook altogether looks positive. Details with Kolo Mohammed on business.
Ahead of the official release of the second quarter growth report by the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, experts say there are promising signs of recovery in the Nigerian economy.
While this will mark a vast improvement on the 1.5% contraction in 2016, economic watchers say although there are structural issues in the Nigerian economy which will keep growth from the levels enjoyed prior to the oil price slump in 2014. Insecurity risk which could derail the economy, the outlook altogether looks more positive than it was 12 months ago. This, they believe, is driven by two primary factors: a recovery of the oil industry and better exchange rate flexibility. The National Bureau of Statistics said growth figures are looking better than in 2016, and growth is expected to strengthen over the remainder of 2017, owing to base effects and ongoing improvements in crude oil prices and manufacturing sector. In April, the Central Bank of Nigeria's Purchasing Managers Index came in at 51.2%, above the 50 level, which denotes expansion for only the second month since 2015.
And global rating agency PricewaterhouseCoopers Hotels Outlook 2017 to 2021 indicate that Nigeria's hospitality business is expected to be the fastest growing market within the next 5 years, with a projected 14.7% annual increase in revenue.
The agency says this is as a result of improvement in the economy and continued growth in domestic tourism.
Meanwhile, the Central Bank of Nigeria has appealed to members of the public to desist from ill handling of the nation's currency. The regulatory body says it is worried that the cost of maintaining the naira is expensive, stating that between 2005 and 2010, over 192 billion naira has been used to maintain the currency.
The Apex Bank urges members of the informal sector to embrace the various e-payment options in the economy.
That's business news. Thanks for watching.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria. Time now for a newspaper review.
Our newspaper reviewer, Bayo Altayabi, is in the studio. Bayo, you're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria, as always.
Thank you.
And let's look at what is trending in national dailies. Blessing.
Good morning, Blessing.
Good morning, Bayo. Welcome. Nigeria. Okay, let's start off with this day. I have leading for this day, presidency service chiefs, tenure already extended till December. That's on the front page of this day. Just above that, you have in new executive order, Osinbajo gives tax defaulters 9 months to pay up. With the rider, amnesty expected to add $1 billion to public funds. You still have on front page of this day, you have a story just above the nameplate. Shell lifts force majeure, raising Nigeria's crude output by 226,000 barrels per day. With the rider, NNPC signs $700 million oil exploration agreement with Schlumberger First E&P. That story starts right there, but continues on page 10. Our girls have saved have the world at their feet. That is the photograph you have there. We have two of the Chibok girls, Joy Bishara as well as Lydia Pogo, who escaped from Boko Haram captivity in 2014, flanked by U.S. President Donald Trump and his daughter Ivanka Trump. When they met with the U.S. President on Tuesday, that's the photograph you have there. Quickly now to the Daily Trust. Just below the nameplate, we have this story. Okorocha slams Nnamdi Kanu over Biafra agitation. That story is trending on page 3. And leading for the Daily Trust, we have why Kogi Gombe ministers have not been inaugurated. That story starts right there, but continues on page 5 there. Displaced women and children of the Fulani community at an internally displaced persons camp in the Mambila Plateau. That's the photograph you have there. And just beside the photograph, you have other headlines. Presidency, why Buhari's jet remains in London. That story is showing on page 3. And to page 13, the story about the tax defaulters is what you have just beside that as well. Federal government grant tax defaulters 9 months grace. Kirian.
Okay, let's take the Daily Sun before we get to Bio. Just beside the nameplate, we have Understanding Promise of Anambra Airport City Project. That's on page 1. And the main headline is Nigeria Better Together, says United States. Okay. Now, below that, we have the photograph of American president, his daughter Ivanka, and the other officials. Just what Besson read on this day is U.S. President Donald Trump with Chibok schoolgirls, Joy Bishara and Lydia Pogo at the middle, and then Ivanka on the other side. Now that's on Daily Sun photograph. Now beside the photograph, we have federal government extends budget support loan to states on page 9. The Yoruba leaders call for implementation of 2014 Confab report. Page 12 has that story on Daily Sun. And then Anambra Goba, Mahaneze schools Nnamdi Kanu, the APOB leader. It's on page 10 of Daily Sun. And below the photograph, we have UK deports 28 Nigerians. That's on page 9. And then Okorocha blasts Fayose over comments on Buhari's health on page 6. And then besides that, we are not paying £4,000 daily for presidential jet parking in London, says the presidency. Details on page 6. And I'll buy you have to come in here.
Yes, let's start with the story about the United States ambassador who says his name is Stuart Symington. And he says Nigerians who preach unity will overcome those calling for secession. And he was speaking at the commemoration of the 241st anniversary of American independence. And he recalls that George Washington, America's first president, warned that those who seek to weaken a country always first seek to start by causing disunity. He says since he's been in Nigeria, whenever he has asked Nigerians what they like best about Nigeria, they have always told him they like our diversity, our resilience, our energy, our warmth, our spirit, our food. And he says, just like the United States, Nigeria will overcome. Nigeria is a wonderful country and will overcome all forces of this unity. And he says each time America has such a challenge, it overcame through visionary leaders. Nigeria will overcome any call because the lamp of unity and justice burns brighter in our nations. He says a united Nigeria lifts Africa and the world. That is very, very inspirational.
Very inspirational.
And as a parallel to that, the Ohanese Ndigbo has disowned Nnamdi Kanu for calling for boycott of pending Anambra governorship elections. Chief Nia Nwodo told Anambra legislators that Mr. Kanu had breached the undertaking he took when he was released on bail. His declaration that there will be no election in Anambra is a shocking and disturbing development. He said, I hereby countermount that declaration as president of the Ohanese Ndigbo. He also added, the statements are misleading and very unproductive. Anyone not from Anambra cannot dictate to Anambra people who to vote to, when to vote, or who to vote for. Meanwhile, several newspapers have been given this prominence. Daily Trust says Kanu lands, Kanu can't arrogate leadership to Ndigbo. They credited that to the president of Ohaneze Ndigbo. New Telegraph puts it as Ohaneze disowns Kanu, and the Sun puts it at Ohaneze tells Kanu over Anambra.
Well, it's the same same way for the Independent newspaper. It has it as its lead story. Southeast governors Ohaneze Ndigbo disown Nnamdi Kanu, with Okorocha saying he lacks capacity to lead Igbos to war. Okay, to other stories right there on the front page of the Independent, we have just above the nameplate, we have no more financial support for Nigeria. This is coming from the European Union. You'll find more details on page 3 of the paper. Just below the leading headline for the Independent paper, Evans files fresh suit against police, demands 300 million naira damages. You find the details on page 10. Evans was the billionaire kidnapper that was recently nabbed. Oshibajo gives 9 months grace period to tax evaders. That is a story. Okay, I think we've taken on most of the papers that we read through. Why presidential jet is parked in London? This is come from Presidency. All the details on page 5. 2017 budget. Reps, that's the representative now, asked Fashola to explain 20 billion naira miscellaneous expenses. You'll find the details on page 4. Kieran,
all right, let's conclude now with the authority newspaper. Above the nameplate, we have why presidential jet is on standby. We've read that in other papers. And then followed by Okorocha accuses Fayosha of hate speech on Buhari's ill health, on page 2 of the authority. And then Ohaneze threatens to disown Nnamdi. Well, others said they have disowned him. That is why authority says threatens. The story is on page 4. And below the name plate, interestingly, prison congestion. NEC asks governors to sign death warrants. I would like Boy to come in there much later. That's the National Executive Council asks governors to sign death warrants. With riders such as states agreed to rehabilitate federal prisons, 70% of inmates are awaiting trial. Oshibajo extends bailout to states indefinitely. And now below the photograph there, we have how Fidelity Bank disbursed 264.8 million naira designated bribe to INEC officials, says EFCC. Bayo.
Talking about that warrant, what happens is this. There have been court judgments regarding persons who have been waiting trial on capital offenses, and the trials have been concluded. The execution is awaiting the assent of governors, they should say, and that's what they have been reluctant over the years, and this is contributing to many people awaiting execution of their capital punishment, and they are waiting on death row. And because of that reluctance, that is why they've been called upon to perform their duty, that of signing that death warrant. But there is amnesty granted to Nigerians for a period of 9 months, and the purpose is under what is described as voluntary assets and income declaration scheme. It is an initiative to shore up Nigeria's income and increase tax payment. It is also to encourage confidence and grant an amnesty period of only 9 months, so that if you don't pay your tax from a period spanning between 1st July of this year and 31st of March next year, you stand culpable. This is an initiative that is to be enforced by the federal and all state government. It's a national duty for companies and citizens to meet their obligation of paying tax. After the 9 months, if you don't pay, you have yourself to blame, and if you are found guilty, you stand a jail term of about 5 years.
Right. Now, this issue of Evans billionaire kidnapper taking YGP to court and all that, what do you make of that?
Well, an accused is presumed innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. And he was first trying to assert the constitutional requirement that says that if you arrest somebody for a crime, within 48 hours, he should be charged to court. And the police has already explained that because of the complication of the implications of his kidnapping, drug and armed robbery cases in Nigeria, Ghana, and South Africa, they have had to go to court to seek 3 months to enable them complete investigation. So it's a normal tussle between the accused and the prosecutor through the courts. The beauty is that that is part of the rule of law in a democracy.
That's the beauty of democracy. At least to elect to.
Everybody has a right.
Everybody has a right.
When someone who has confessed of, heinous crimes, I mean, is still seeking, is there to.
The law says he is presumed innocent until proven guilty.
After his confessions. All right.
Well, that's it.
At this point, we'd like to thank you for your analysis on our newspaper review this morning on Good Morning Nigeria. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you too.
We'll see you again on Monday.
Monday will be another day. Thank you.
All right. Now, this is Good Morning Nigeria. I will now take a short break. When we return, the program moves from this segment to the next segment, which is a conversation time.
The Future Assured project of the wife of the president, Aisha Muhammad Buhari, is carrying out free medical screening and distribution of food items at various IDP camps while ensuring the economic empowerment of women through training and skill acquisition. In recognition of her efforts, wives of governors have lent their voices and support.
In Kogi State, we feel the impact of Future Assured, especially in women and children.
The Future Assured program of Mrs. Aisha Muhammad Buhari, the wife of the president, has been very assuring and still reassuring in Sokoto State. It has impacted positively in the areas of humanity, especially women and children.
Supports the Future Assured initiative. Email programs@futureassured.org.ng. Future Assured, promoting and protecting the lives of Nigerian women and children.
Chewing gum neutralizes bad odor. It doesn't just disguise them, it gives you real minty breath.
If you're just joining us, you're watching Good Morning Nigeria, and we'll be focusing on sexual harassment. But before you meet our guest, here's his background report as put together by Hamid Ambali.
Here are some facts about sexual harassment. It is frowned upon globally, it is not gender discriminatory, and those affected seldom speak out, especially in societies such as Nigeria, and on occasions when they do, the stigma that trails them is better imagined. Whenever sexual advances are made and they impinge upon the rights of the receiver, sexual harassment is said to take place. Every day, hundreds of thousands of women and in some cases men are sexually harassed. At workplaces, and of recent, the preponderance of the Unholy Act has reared its head in the ivory towers.
Judith, please now.
This YouTube video is said to be of a randy lecturer lured by a student to her lodging after several advances from the lecturer. Shamed publicly, this is one of the few cases where sexual harassment sees the perpetrator becoming the prey. Such is the spread of sexual harassment that the issue caught the attention of Nigeria's legislators, who are proposing a bill to criminalize sexual harassment in tertiary institutions and, among other things, propose a 5-year jail term for those found guilty of sexual harassment of students.
Virtually all of us here are fathers to girls, husbands to wives, and brothers to sisters. And obviously, no one will want to see that either of those aforementioned will be a victim of sexual harassment.
Even as the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, kicks against the bill on grounds that it is discriminatory and undermines university autonomy, one question begging for answer is yet to be resolved. What happens to victims of sexual harassment outside the walls of the universities and other tertiary institutions, in workplaces and other environments who are daily being harassed? As it stands, the Nigerian Labour Act and the many HR policies that workers in Nigeria are commonly bound by are silent on the issue of workplace sexual harassment. This has left many victims of this problem in doubt as to their legal options. Resolving these pertinent issues and finding a lasting solution to sexual harassment forms the crux of discussions on NTA Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Madam Belli. Now joining us in the studio to take a look at this subject of discourse this morning is, we'd like to introduce, first of all, Malam Ibrahim Yakasai, is the Director, Corporate Communications at the National University Commission. It's our pleasure to have you on the program.
It's a pleasure having me.
We're also being joined by a lady this time around, by Honorable Joan Mrapo. She represents Anyocha Oshemili constituency in the House of Representatives, and she's from Delta State, of course. Honorable, welcome to the program. Thank you. Okay, we also have joined us in the studio here in Abuja, Associate Professor Ngozi Nwosu. She's the Acting Director of Directorate of Guidance and Counsel in Nasarawa State University, KEFI. Associate Prof, I'd like to welcome you to the program.
Thank you very much.
All right, and at our Port Harcourt studio, we have Nime Agoma. He's the president of FEDA. We also have Ajiboye, who will be joining us very shortly. Ms. Okoye, you are welcome to the program.
Good morning, Nigeria.
Yeah, Mr. Agoma, thank you indeed for joining us. And now let's get started with Associate Professor Ngozi Nwosu. Madam, could you elaborate on what constitutes sexual harassment?
Yes. Sexual harassment is any act of getting someone involved into sexual relationship without the consent or approval of that person. The person is forced into it, is coerced into it, or is intimidated into the act of sexual intimacy.
Okay, well captured. But let's take a look at what the lawyer will let us into as what constitutes sexual harassment. We'd like to go to our guest in Port Harcourt studio, Nime Agoma. What exactly constitutes sexual harassment from the law point of view?
From the legal point of view, sexual harassment encompasses a wide range of acts. But most importantly, it is coercive, it is intimidating, it is without consent, and if you look at our various laws, it has several broad definitions. It is also suggestive. The act may not take place, but any form of verbal intimidation, any form of insisting on certain things just to is also part of what we describe as sexual harassment. Not just rape or defilement, and it occurs in all spheres of life, not in any particular area. The Violence Against Persons Prohibitions Act defines sexual harassment. The Child Rights Act defines it. The Criminal Code, the Penal Code. So we have a wide range of definitions. But what is most important is that once any person carries out an act, whether by way of touching, by way of suggesting, without the consent of the other party, it is sexual harassment.
Thank you. We'll return to you in a short while. But before we do that, let's get Honorable Joan Marabo on this. You know, what would you say constitute sexual harassment?
Yes, like she said, and like the Associate Prof said, is attempting to have sexual intimacy without the consent of the opposite. And it could be other way. It could be a man harassing a woman, and it could be a woman harassing a man. It's when you're holding something as a weapon to get sexual attachment.
Okay, before we get to Madam Yakasai, the National Assembly, of course, recently pushed a bill, and the passage is moved from the Senate. But now, with the House of Representatives, there still needs to be other issues looking for concurrence to actually take place.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to address this issue, what exactly is this bill seeking, or what exactly are still loose that needs to be firmed up? Because now it's saying in tertiary institutions, which is why we have the NUC right here on the program to actually address some of this area as well, if they've not started looking into it.
Yes, when it comes to the House of Reps, it's for concurrence, and every member, I would like to say every member indeed, in the House of Reps will give a support to it, because we had so many disturbing issues about sexual harassment. If you personalize it now to the higher institutions, you had girls who didn't graduate for as long as 5 years, not because they were not intelligent, because somebody just thinks, I must have what is, pardon my language, but I think I put it the way it is, I must have what is in between your legs or you won't leave this university. And the person insists, and that destiny continues like that until either she's so intimidated or pressurized to give in, or she decides to stay. And it goes on. So every well-meaning Nigerian, and indeed the House of Reps, will agree with the Senate on it.
Okay. I'm sure the delay in the passage is not what...
No, there's not actually, it's not a delay, that's a process.
It's a process?
Yes.
Okay,
like we have bills and we wait for Senate for concurrence. They have bills coming to us and they wait for us for concurrence, depending on the processes.
Okay.
All right, I think we have to bring in the man of the Communications Director Communications National University Commission here, Ibrahim Yagase. What's your take on this? Because of course you people champion the cause of universities and should be in the know of what actually happens in those institutions.
Well, first I will not be in denial. We are talking about sexual harassment here in the country, not necessarily in the tertiary institutions or in the universities. But when it comes to the universities, I would like to differ from what people think or what people have said here. In the first instance, it is over-dramatized in the university system. I will tell you that one of the people defining sexual harassment said it could be either way, and that's absolutely true. You see, the thinking is that lecturers in the Nigerian university system are so useless or so terrible that they go after every woman, like the Honorable said. That a lecturer will insist that he has to have something with a girl or a lady before she graduates, it is in the minority. Go and ask any vice chancellor that most vice chancellors will stay there 5 years and never have to deal with a case of sexual harassment. Not because it doesn't happen. It may happen, but you see 2 things or 3 happen. In the first instance, those who are harassed, if they are harassed, hardly come along to say that we've been harassed. And number 2, most of the girls, you see, promiscuity now is the order of the day in the university system. And most of the girls encourage the lecturers to go after them. They dress loosely and go to class. They give them gifts. How would you feel as a young lecturer, you are seated in your office, a girl walks in with a gift and give you. Well, she comes in and meets you alone, terribly dressed. What is she trying to portray? I have spoken to, because I know I'm coming here, we have in the commission, we don't take it lightly anyway, if it happens. We had a committee on sorting. It's actually beyond just sexual harassment. If a lecturer insists that a girl or a boy must give him or give her a recharge card or a gift, we take it seriously. That's also a harassment of a sort. But you see, the issue of sexual harassment in the university system is over-dramatized. It doesn't go the way people think it is. Absolutely not true.
But do such incidences, are they being reported back to NEC? Because if it's the school have their own rules and regulations that will actually look into this. Yes, beyond some of this complaint, what kind of reports get back to NEC?
You see, the schools have internal mechanism of dealing with this. There is a senior staff disciplinary committee of the council, but they take it very seriously. Not of the management, of the council of the university. Once a girl or a boy reports that he or she has been sexually harassed by a lecturer, it goes direct to the committee of the council on discipline. And if it is established, he or she is sacked. But it rarely happens, because you see, first, it doesn't happen. And if it does happen, in NUC we have reports almost on monthly basis sometimes, but the issue is when we go deep, we find out that we've learned through experience that when a girl comes along and says she's been harassed, don't just take it on face value. Because most of the time, you see, it's very
important for you to note that if you read well, and again what is happening in the universities, you say it's over dramatized.
It is over dramatized.
But what we get is that there is no single institution, especially public university, that you don't have such stories. And you see, until you
stories are stories, but facts are sacred.
Meet the young ladies that suffered, even the married ones.
Yeah, but where are they? We don't see them. She just asked me a question that how often do you receive reports? We do receive reports, not too much, and when we do, we try to interact with the so-called victim, and when we sit down with them, we find out that some of the times, it can't be all the time, some of the times they are the weak students who probably try to, most of the time they are weak, serious students that are morally upright. I'm sure all of you here pass through Nigerian universities. And I want to ask you personally, has anyone of you ever been harassed?
Well,
no, I'm being honest.
I wasn't, but that doesn't stop that maybe some colleagues will have been.
I'm not denying. The first word I say, I'm not in self-denial. I'm not denying that it happens, but it's not as open as it is reported. It's over-dramatized. And you find out that most serious girls that are hardworking hardly get harassed. Why? Because they will not put themselves up to be harassed.
Okay, let's get back to Associate Professor Ngozi now. For your unit, this is a very key unit, guidance and counseling. I'm sure from time to time, some students could have confided in you, either in your office or even as a mother. Share your experience with us. Some of the stories that come, because there are instances where some of these people, out of stigmatization or any other thing, the school will not do anything. They've always said it's a man's world. What is your experience on this issue, sexual harassment?
Thank you very much. Just as Malam Yakasai said, it is being overblown, the issue of sexual harassment in the university. Not that it is not existing. It does. But at times, most of these girls that said that they're being sexually harassed by lecturers are the ones that expose themselves to the harassment. Just as he said also, it could also be that they are the weak students that know that on themselves, on their own, they cannot pass that particular course. So they start luring one way or the other to get the attention of the lecturer.
But does the school, your own school now, does it have rules or guidance to, if we get involved?
Serious one. There's staff disciplinary committee.
Okay.
There is junior staff disciplinary committee. There is senior staff disciplinary committee. So if the girls that feel that being sexually harassed, intimidated, or coerced, as we have said, by a lecturer, you cannot pass my course until I see inside out. Let them come out with the boldness and report.
nothing will happen. No, but nothing will happen. There are different ways now of getting across to the lecturer if you don't want it. There must be cooperation between the lecturer that is harassed and the person that is harassed for the sexual intercourse to take place. If it is not my consent, take your phone and tape the voice of the person. He will know. Report it. You understand? Report as soon as you tape the voice of the person that this is what you're asking from me. Come to the office and report it.
Madam, it's not really easy for the students to report it because some who reported got punished even by the school authority for exposing a senior lecturer and stuff like that. Because, madam, like Yakasai said that we all pass through university. I'm a man, so nobody's harassing me. But
you could be harassed.
No. We've seen ladies that cry, they shed tears. Because one, if you report, you are in trouble. If you don't report, you're also in trouble. Because when somebody keeps you in school for 7 years or more, because of that, and it is existing, that is what we have to establish here. But you say it's over-dramatized. Now, at this point, let's get to Idime Iguma of FIDA in Port Harcourt. FIDA has been strong in, in trying to fight gender issues, especially when it has to do with sexual harassment. Now, not just in schools, but in the society, even in workplaces, right? So, how would you assess the situation with respect to how it exists in the general society, not just in schools?
I would really want to talk about the schools. Yeah, in 1986, 31 years ago, I was a young girl, impressionable young girl, and I was admitted into university to commence my law program. And I was sexually harassed by the registrar of the school. I did report to my parents. There was so much uproar in the school. I'm sharing this experience because I want to say that somebody asked if anybody here had been sexually harassed. It caused a lot of problem. My father even beat up the registrar of the school at the time because I reported. But what did I get? Stigmatization. Everybody was staying away from me. I managed to finish my law program. That is the reality. The school didn't take me serious. We went to court, but they didn't take us serious. So it is real, and I can tell you that it is very, very rampant. That is my personal experience. In fact, they said to me that I wanted to spoil the name of the school. I was very young, 16 years old. Imagine the torture. Imagine what it did to me. But here I am today, I'm talking about it. So it is real. It is very, very real. Now, moving away from that, I would have loved for the law before the House of Representatives to be all-encompassing. Because like you said, sexual harassment does not take place only in the universities. It is also rampant in the workplace and even in associations. Once you have men and women gathered together, it is one thing that always comes up. Once somebody has something to give to you, even when you are very qualified, surely when you are a woman, he looks down on you and he begins to find favors from you. Your level of education or qualification does not come to count. It's in very few exceptions that you have decent men that do things without trying to get favors from women. And that is why most times women don't even know how to behave. You talk about women that are loose, the way they dress, and all of that. Why should a man be bothered about how a woman dresses? Why should her dressing make any suggestive insinuation to the man? I think that is very wrong. Our society have decided, or they decided to label women in a certain way, and that is not right. Men wear whatever they want to wear. Nobody says anything. A lecturer or a boss or a director or a head of department should not assent to any form of coercive sexual harassment wherever they work. And most importantly, I'll go back to my story. At 16, I don't know what business, and many children in our universities are of that age. Most people get into university between the ages of 16 and 17. I don't know what business the lecturer at that time had with me because I wasn't even his student. Very touching. Thank you very much. Aguma, we'll come back to you, and that is food for thought for everyone. As young as at that age, that is our own experience, and so are many others' experience. It will be recalled in 2013. Part of what Madam was saying, we should maybe take a recording of such. This particular lecture it's happened in Delta State, your state as well. I'm sure you recall that story, where this person had been on this lady's case since 200 levels, and up to the time she was going to graduate, and he told her, if you're not going to give in, then you're likely not going to graduate. Yeah. And it was a setup for the students. But what brings me the question, why must we allow students to take laws into their hands if the school is not going to protect them? Which I just asked that question against the background that are there laws or are there stipulations in what the school council is giving, maybe in terms of their student handbook and all of those ones? Is that what is happening?
Can I respond? Yes, there are. You see, as soon as a student gets admission into a university, he is given a student information handbook, which contains all the rules and regulations. But if you allow me, I'll give you scenarios. I have had her, and I've told you from the one that, you see, I'm not in denial that things happen, but not as much as they're reported. I'll give you 3 scenarios that will put things in perspective. Scenario 1 is when a weak student goes to a lecturer and start having affairs with him, with the promise that he or she will pass her. And at the end of the day, if she fails, she will now come up and say, this man has been harassing me. We've had cases severally like that. Severally. She will be with him for so many years, for a year or for a month or for so many years. They'll be misbehaving together. And then if he finds it impossible to pass her, then he will fail her, because probably somebody, he may pass her. If the script is relooked by somebody, she fails. And then she will come up and say, this is what has happened. Scenario B is what she said. How could you see, let us be honest and behave as human beings. If a girl wants to seduce, she knows how to seduce. By way of dressing, by way of talking, by way of so many things. So she'll be seducing me, and I will be expected to be a wood, not to react. That can't happen. Cases like her also happen, that when a stupid lecturer, useless lecturer, will go after a small girl like her. They happen. And once they are caught, they get sacked. I will tell you, my executive secretary gave me a story that when he was starting as a lecturer, a very older professor called him and said, look, you have a bright future in this university, but let me warn you that whenever a girl comes to you and says somebody is sexually harassing her, don't just jump at it. Investigate. When she comes crying, give her tissue to wipe her tears, then investigate and let her know that, you see, you will not take her story on face value, that you are going to investigate thoroughly and they are going to call the man, you are going to balance it up. And he told me that that was the best advice he got as a lecturer. When he became vice chancellor, he said women will walk into his office. Sometimes a woman reporting, a lecturer, a junior lecturer reporting a senior lecturer, or a student reporting a lecturer that this man has been trying to have this. He will now sit her down, calm her down and said, okay, no problem, I've heard your story, but know that I will not act on your story, I'm going to investigate. And in investigating, I'm going to set up a committee who will look into, most of them will recant. So I'm telling you, see, I have daughters that went through Nigerian universities. I will not sit down here and tell you that they happen, but not in the number that people are reporting, and not in the manner as well. But you see, it is both ways. We had cases, you see, of students harassing lecturers.
I want us to differentiate, to draw a line here.
Yes.
A weak student will eventually get what she wants because she's the person motivating and moving it most of the time. The people that have this problem are even bright students. But somebody says, if you must pass, I want to have you. It's different from being a weak student. A weak student knows I'm weak, I'm weak. She has her tools, you know, to see whether she can
have the
pass.
statistics. You don't.
And she will move.
No, I have the statistics. I'm telling you, the weaker students are the ones that normally get harassed.
Because they get what they want.
I can prove this to you.
People asking for it now.
They
so
do,
it's a lot easier for them to get
and when they don't,
than a bright student.
When they don't, they cry out.
Now let's get back to Honorable, you know, in this, because you are in the National Assembly, you are making laws. Now you have stalled the move made previously, perhaps because you want to expand the entire thing to accommodate all aspects of such cases. Now, do you people take that seriously?
Of course. Like, I totally disagree with my... completely and totally. Number one, you can say, let's take even the weak students. Who is a lecturer? Who is a teacher? You're supposed to be a shepherd. Even if your student walks into your office naked, what are you supposed to do? That child is put in your care. Are you now also going to undress and bounce on her because she walked into your office? It means you are irresponsible. And
maybe he's weak too. The person is weak too.
Worse than the student. Then you're not supposed to be there. You're supposed to be a character molder. So what is the difference between you and the girl, the weak girl? So I totally disagree. And secondly, reporting whether rape issues in Nigeria and other issues, we know what comes with it. So when we say how many persons are reporting, people don't report. Because like our lady in Port Harcourt said, you know what it is. The stigmatization. If you're still in school, other lecturers are going to gang up. The school, like she said, is going to, oh, you can't say that. The VC is conscious of his office. So most times, even parents say, oh, I beg, just leave him to God. That's what we get. So we cannot judge by the number of persons, so let them come up. It's easier said. So I believe that we should do something about it. The people that are worst hit are the bright students, not even the weak student. A bright student says, I don't need you. And the lecturer tells you, okay, by the time I begin to cross the T's and dot the I's, you will know that you need me. It is the bright students that are worst hit. The ones that are bright, the ones that hold on strongly to their religion, they say, no, you can't have me. It's okay, let that your God come to save you. We have these cases. I've been in the State Assembly before coming here. I'm a television evangelist. I also deal with students, and I hear a lot. They come up, what should I do? So it is something we should not just take with a wave of the hand. It is happening, it's still happening. And like the lady in Port Harcourt also said, not just with our schools, in our offices. I want to agree with you that women are also getting very irresponsible, even the married ones. You're walking into an office, and the way you're dressed is like as if your boobs is going to pump out of your body, and you're bending down to talk to a man. Yes, we agree. All that is happening. And we should have laws, I totally agree with you, that should check it either way. Men are also harassed on a daily basis.
You're right.
My colleagues are daily harassed. People go to our aides, the aides of the male honorable members now, and they collect their phone numbers. In fact, one funny incident happened when I was in the Delta State House of Assembly. Somebody called, my name is Onyemechi, but when it's abbreviated, it's Amechi. So in Igbo language, is a unisex, male beer Amechi too. So somebody called me and said, you can't remember me again. You gave me your card, sir, at the gate. But because I heard at Government House gate, because I heard the stories from my colleagues, and I said, will you just get lost from my phone? This is a female honorable member. And she said, oh, sorry, ma. So I called her back after 5 minutes. I said, why are you doing this? Why do people go getting numbers of honorable members? So if I had said to you now, supposing I'm a male honorable member, and I said to you, meet me in this so-so-so hotel, and you come there, you may never return, because you don't even know who you are talking with. So I agree totally with him that women harass men a great deal now. But I am particularly pained when is a student. Yes, an adult that is working in an office, the choice is yours. You are looking for a job, the man says, oh, you're very qualified, but you see nothing goes for nothing. You have the right to walk away. But for school, you have enrolled for a program of 4 years, 5 years. you're thinking, what is going to happen to me? What is going to happen to my future? And like I said, so many of them are grounded at that point.
What does this do to the girl education? Because we need to promote, because for instance, girls are supposed to be educated all the way, or at least that's what part of the thing we're seeking. Now, if such things start happening to them, like the FIDA president, the guest in Port Harcourt, at 16, she was already into that. If she wasn't having a dad or a father
that
who was she's close to, and she could confide in, what happens to instances where those people don't have people to actually support them?
The Nigerian girl is still not free. If you look at the Child Right Act, most of the states have not domesticated it. So the Nigerian girl is vulnerable. Nobody is speaking for them, just as maybe what we're doing. Nothing is happening. In schools, everywhere. It's that bad.
Now, what about the laws? What do people intend to do at the National Assembly?
We have done what we're supposed to do, but when you pass a law, it goes back to states to be domesticated. Some of the states, most, and I don't want to go deeper into it, most of the states also see, for certain reasons, colorations, cultural, religion, think that those laws should not be part, they shouldn't be part of the law. But what I'll say here is that for any girl, yes, at times we say, like, feel that they're doing a great job, so okay, report to this, report to that. What is the channel of reporting? I want to present it the way it is. It is indeed bad. What is the channel of reporting? If you report a lecturer, for instance, to a VC, is VC going to report his colleague? To who? To be disciplined? How many of such cases have we had? So it is bad, yes. And as parents, as leaders, and as Nigerians, we'll have to look at it critically.
Okay, all right.
Please, may I correct an impression created? You see, a bright student does not only attend one class or only one lecturer teaches him or her. If he or she is bright, he or she will stand out in other areas, and there's no way one lecturer will fail her. Please, I understand the system. The system is such that if he or she is so bright and a particular lecturer is harassing her, the others, she will stand out in other areas, and they will say, no, let's look at the script of that man.
No, there are courses you carry over, you can't graduate.
No, you see,
I went to university too. I graduated from University of Jos, there are courses you carry over,
no. If you are bright, you are bright. You stand out in other areas, and the school would know that that lecturer is harassing you.
Well, let's hear from Nigerians now. You know, some are beginning to react to our conversation now, and we'll start with Law Alpha, who says, though sexual harassment involves females and males, but proper and decent dressing by the female folks has to be taken into due account.
Yeah, well, good.
Okay, from Victor Oyisoma, so sexual harassment is a two-way traffic. Both lecturers and female students are guilty. Indecent dressing is sexual harassment.
Law Alpha once again says sexual harassment is an ungodly act, as it is awkward. Unfortunately, this is going on more in our homes and compounds than even schools.
Oh my Lord.
Okay, from Bella Sanchez, who says, how can he say it's over-dramatized? This kind of opinion is dangerous. They need to be careful on their utterances.
And she continued, Bella continued, this is the type of utterances, blaming the victim because of how they are dressed is so wrong, and I'm not encouraging indecent dressing.
Yeah. From Loyalty, it says, this tweet, I'm convinced some of the arguments preferred by Valentanko Ibrahim, Ibrahim Yakasai, but the issue of sexual harassment exists a lot in institutions.
Amaka Shalom says, I fight like a lion whenever one raised issue of indecent dressing as the main cause of sexual harassment. Let's not go there at all.
From Onikpedeka, the indecent dressing is a means of harassment common among the ladies. Ladies even ask for it. It is overflogged on gender platform.
Now, there says something that I don't want to take lightly. Why do you have people on this show encouraging sexual harassment? Well, nobody here is encouraging it. We are having a conversation that's touching all aspects of sexual harassment. So that's exactly what we're doing. And at the end of the day, we will be able to now reach a conclusion on the causes of this and, of course, anyway, the remedies.
Two more tweets to go. Yes. One from Sani Michael Omakoji. I'm sorry to say that some men or women are so loose that they promote sexual harassment both in the private and in the public place.
And finally, for now, from Stanley, good morning, Nigeria. All should join hands and fight this menace. It is really eating deep into the society.
Yes, sure. All right, Professor, yes, from your school, fighting this is not an easy means. Now, you've talked about indecent dressing as a bit. What else do we need to do, or what else should schools like yours be doing to actually address this beyond the issue of indecent dressing?
Yes. If, for example, we discover that a bright student is failing a particular course, remember that she's not undertaking only a course in an academic session.
Definitely.
And we now discover a bright student, and it's not all lecturers that are loose. There are some that are morally conscious. There are those that have the fear of God in them, that will not involve or participate in things like that. That will know also that they are fathers and their husbands that will respect themselves. Now, we now discover that a particular student is having A, B, all of a sudden, we discover this student having D, or even F, outright F, in a course. And it repeated itself the next academic session. Then there's cause to ask, what is happening? That is why we say part of the problem of sexual harassment is inability or lack of boldness
to come out.
To come out and say, look at what I'm suffering from.
It's a big problem.
We agree that there is esprit de corps in the university whereby lecturers will try to protect colleagues by saying, are you trying to dent the image of the... But then if we now discover that such a bright student is failing a particular course once, twice, why not you go and report? If you like, go to your head of department, come to Directorate of Guidance and Counsel. We will investigate it. I will leave my office and go to the lecturer concerned. Someone can call for his or her paper. You have the right to call for your paper to be remarked. I have once called for my paper when I was a student in Avanikuku College of Education, way back 87. I got a score I did not like. I say it's not mine. Even fellow colleagues testified that that wasn't my score. I called for that paper. Though it wasn't, it took a long time. But at the end of the day, the verdict came out. Right. And my paper was remarked.
All right.
So don't swallow it. Don't die in silence. Have the boldness to come out and say, this paper, I know what I performed in this paper. And then we start investigating it. Then such a lecturer can be changed. Another way out is that lecturer can be changed from teaching that course.
Okay.
And it will be given, or you
right.
add 3-4 lecturers to teach that particular course.
All right. You are very strong at one reporting the case. And of course, Inime Iguma, the lawyer in Port Harcourt, is also experience.
Yes.
And yes. She told us what happened when she really reported and all that, stigmatization and all of that. Now we are returning to you, Inime Iguma. Once again, I would like you to react to the contributions from Abuja end of our studio here.
I'll start my reaction by saying that just 2 days ago, the Ekiti High Court found a principal, I think a vice principal, guilty of not just of rape, or rather I would say defilement, because the girl involved was at the time 12 years old. I think the offense was committed in 2012, but conviction was secured 2 days ago. Now, he was even actually caught in the act by other teachers who forced his office door open. Now, this girl, 12 years old, she had no consent to give to him at the time. She was sent to school to be in his care. And this is how she ended up being raped and disvirgined by a man that ought to have provided care for her. So this is what you see in most institutions. This is what happens. That child was lucky that some teachers had some, I don't know, kind of knowledge that something was going on or something was amiss in the vice principal's office. I read that judgment yesterday night. Now, in view of that, you can imagine how many other children in institutions that go through this kind of thing without being able to speak about it. Because the vice principal, from what I read, what he first said to her was, don't tell anybody. And that is what happens all the time. And so I would look forward to a situation where even when we are drafting laws, we should also think of the psychological aspect of the persons that we are giving our children to be caregivers to our children. I think they should be evaluated before they take up such jobs. Because when you drop your child in school, you feel that your child is being given to somebody that can actually care for your child, protect your child. You don't send your child to a caregiver for your child to be molested. So we must begin to think of ways of curbing this, the issue of sexual harassment or even actual defilement or rape. Defilement is on the increase. FIDA Nigeria has been putting her heads together from all the branches to see how we can reduce the spate of reports of defilement. And let me say something here to Nigeria. Most times when you have a case of defilement, by the time investigations are concluded and information is filed in court, you always have the parents of that child, most times, 92% of the times, they want to withdraw the case from court. Either they've been influenced by one person or the other, sometimes even by little money, and the child, a victim, is left like that to suffer her pain for life. So I want to use this platform to advise our parents that please stand by your children. If your child has been defiled, there is nothing to hide about it. It's not going to change the course of destiny of that child. Perhaps her speaking up will save a lot of other children. I would want to comment on the Child Rights Act. The Child Rights Act has been adopted because when the National Assembly promulgates or passes a law, it is domestication. But when it goes down to the states, it's adoption. And I can say to you that 26 states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria have adopted the Child Rights Act. That it's there. The other states that haven't adopted are the northern states, most of the northern states in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And we know what the issue is. The issue is on the age limit in the Child Rights Act, which says that anybody that is of 18 years is a child. But we pray and hope that all those states will adopt the Child Rights Act, respecting the fact that all international treaties that Nigeria is a signatory to describe the child as 18 years old.
Madam, thank you very much. Blessing.
Okay, back to Professor Wosu. Now, all the issues already arising from what we've been taking a look at, that's sexual harassment. Now, for your school, as well as maybe other institutions, where will you be advocating, or what will you be advocating to actually help curb this to its barest minimum? Because we must protect those students who are under our care.
Yes, I've already started advocating. The course lecturer can be changed if we discover the trend that this lecturer, one is that a lecturer that is in the habit of doing this type of thing is there, which means every academic session you'll be hearing such a complaint concerning this particular
But has your
lecturer.
school been able to prosecute anyone if anyone came up like that?
We have not been having much complaint about this, but I know we have been sanctioning. Some lecturers have been disciplined. Some they are...
In what way were they disciplined?
Some their salaries are being withheld for a period of 6 months, but not mainly sexual harassment. I said there is disciplinary committee, both senior staff, senior.
So students from your school can actually make use of that?
You can make use of that to lay your complaint.
All right.
But not as if you let the complaint today, it will be decided in your favor today. Change of processes to make sure
Because someone that is not offended can come out and start crying for help. So there has to be chain of investigations to make sure that it is true. Then such a person will be disciplined.
All right, Professor, thank you very much. Professor Ngozi Nwosu, Acting Director, Directorate of Guidance and Counseling, Nasarawa State University. Thank you very much indeed for being part of our show this morning. All right, you're still watching Good Morning Nigeria on the NTA network service. We'll take a short break now, and the program returns in a moment.
Oh boy, climb this thing now. Not be only to connect lights.
Come you and yourself now.
Now wow. Oh boy, calm down now. Oga Kasali electrician, who will they look for with this? Oh, Oga Kasali, come help us fix this wire now.
Sorry, I no longer carry out illegal connection. It puts the lives of people at risk and can cause fire outbreak and disrupt power supply. I will never be part of anything that has to do with this any longer because change begins with me.
Oh boy, letting me talk makes sense. Oh boy, we could carry this ladder for
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Admission forms for the 2017-2018 academic session of NTA Television College JAWS into its diploma programs are now on sale. The diploma programs are in film and TV production, broadcast journalism, and TV engineering technology. Applicants are required to have at least 5 credits, including English language and mathematics at SSC, NECO, or GCO levels in not more than 1 sitting. Application forms can be obtained from the TV College Refi JAWS or at any NTA zonal centers nationwide on payment of a no-refundable fee of 7,500 naira in bank draft in favor of NTA Television College. Completed application forms should be returned to the Office of the Academic Secretary, NTA Television College, or the Center of Purchase on or before 28th of July 2017. For further inquiries, please call 0806 980 9807 or 0703 660 7155. NTA Television College, training you to be the best you can be.
You're still watching Good Morning Nigeria, and right now we have another guest joining us. What are we discussing? Tertiary institution has sexual harassment. So where's the students? Now, glad to introduce at this point Okoyekola Ajiboye. He's the president, Students Union Government, University of Abuja. Aluta continua.
Victoria Sata.
Welcome to the program. Now, you are the benefits of listening to all the guests that already spoke on this issue. To you, yes, you're a man. I'm sure you would have harassed somebody at one point or the other, but let's find out. How severe is this case of sexual harassment in the school, in University of Abuja, as well as other schools that you've been able to interact with, your colleagues?
Sexual harassment has been going rampant in many universities, but particularly polytechnics, because, you know, these are the institutions that even sell handouts more. And when you sell handouts, guys buy, and ladies that can't buy, they have to just give 1 or 2 things, and then what they give is the body. It's actually a pathetic situation in our tertiary institutions. But I want to tell you categorically, in the University of Abuja, things like this, I can't say they are not happening, but the level at which it happens in our own university is at a very reduced level, because the people that are involved in it, lecturers particularly, some people have been sanctioned. Okay. And these are served as deterrent to others. I want to say categorically that even though a lady dresses anyhow, that's not a yardstick for a man to misbehave. Certainly, because in a Western world, the way we dress is even more pathetic than the way we dress here. And the cases of sexual harassment over there, it's not like we have it in
So why is it rampant here in our own climate? Why?
Attitude of Nigerians, but like particularly lecturers, when we see things, we feel like we can just take it on a platter of gold. If you want to have anything doing with a student, you have the right to ask the student out. And if the student agrees, good. If she doesn't agree, you don't need to force anything on the student. Because if you know, when you want to write an exam, and a lecturer will say, if you don't do this, you will not do this. If you don't, I beg to disagree with Malam Ibrahim when he said weak students actually fall in this trap. No, weak students, even if they fall there, most of them go in there willingly on their own, like he said. But students that are actually the target are people that they don't need lecturers to survive. And lecturers feel like they need to have one or two things to do with them before they can go. It's so pathetic. In the University of Abuja, I think some months back, a lecturer was sanctioned because
on
of
the same issue.
Yes, on this same issue.
So what was the process? Did the student union body, did you go through with this particular student who was harassed? Give us what happened.
I came on board on February 15, and then before that, a judgment was already passed on that lecturer. But from behind, before we even came on board, agitations from students on things like this, we got judgment. But the only thing is, cases like this, when we are discussing it, the system has to reduce a lot of bureaucracy in solving this kind of problem. Yes. Because you submit to this office, people, some students, ladies, they get harassed sexually, but they can't come out to say it. The trauma is there for them, the stigmatization, at the end of the day, they feel like the system will not even help them. They have lost confidence in the justice in the system.
Right, Mr. Ajiboye, you assumed office about a year ago or thereabouts?
That's February 19.
February 19.
15.
15 this year.
That's about
all right. Now,
6 months.
within this period, what is the preponderance, of this sexual harassment in your university, with respect to the fact that if such things happen, we expect that some students will report to the student government. They say, see what's happening to me. Have you had such in recent times?
Actually, since we came on board, I've not got any report from any student. But I will not say it did not happen, because there was even a rumor we heard, and then we tried to contact the person in charge, the person involved. But the trauma again. The
students don't have confidence in the school, in the school authorities.
No, the student does not want to get stigmatized, and they fail to report. I heard of a particular case, and I tried to follow up with the lady, and she said nothing like that happened. And if I were to even fight for her, if she's not giving me any evidence or any tool to fight for her own case, I don't. But major thing is, ladies find it difficult to report, even the student union government. They believe they are students like them, and they don't have much to do.
Okay, they don't trust your own structure, even as student union government.
That's what many students will feel like. Even though when you report to my parents, you report to my HOD, you cannot do anything, I assure you that the student union government can help. But I want to charge them today that the student union government, even though the people there are students like you, they have an authority, because in the university setup there are major 5 stakeholders. The SANU, the ASU, the management, the NASU, and the student government. And in every way, the student government is the largest stakeholder.
So for a bill like this that is being pushed in the National Assembly, what kind of support are students given to it? Because it's as if there are some other hindrances from other bodies that you have called now.
We were strongly behind the bill passed and moved by Senator Agege. And then any other move being made to make sure that this bill is being passed into law, we surely support it. If it takes us to mobilize our mammoth to make sure that this is what we want. It's not that we want it because it's what we feel like. We want it because it's what is supposed to be in the system. The system is supposed to be saying enough. Even after we leave, the people coming after us will be saying, okay, some people were here at this particular period and they made this. We should be able to fight for our right, not that we should be begging for it. So this bill, we are in full support of it, and then if the National Assembly, some quotas fails, they can still do 1 or 2 things. We are always engaging them, and we will not be tired in engaging them.
All right, Okoyekola Ajibola, we'll get back to you. Now we have more reactions coming in. We'll quickly run through them before we pose the next set of questions to our guest, Sarah.
Oh yes, the first one is coming from Omoruyi or Samege. I hope I got that correctly. He said, Honorable has just nailed the issue. God bless you, ma. Reporting is attracting gang up of lecturers.
From Youth and AIDS Nigeria is this tweet: we should have an independent body that follow up these underreported cases of sexual harassment in schools.
Then Dariro Adeotu says sexual harassers get away with it because they know powerful people and because of lack of evidence. Educate the public, not stigmatize the harassed.
From Sani Michael Omakoji, parents should also inculcate moral virtues in their children and teach them the decent way of dressing. And we also have this one from SBT. Sexual harassment is about power. The person on that advantage point, a student can never be at a vantage point. This is coming from Shedrack Baba.
Now, Dele Jackson Solomon, as you say no to any form of sexual harassment in Nigeria, we implore our ladies to dress properly and avoid secluded places and night movements.
From Bella is this other tweet. Teachers, lecturers, and professors are shapers of destiny. We hear of some of them taking advantage of their students.
And Gondo Andy, there should be strong laws on sexual harassment by lecturers, even prison sentences, because these cases are becoming too rampant.
From Clement G. or Mark Chono, there should also be a law to punish female students who harass lecturers, since harassment is both ways.
Now, Kende, that lecturers are guilty, but the students are very much guilty as well. Some don't complain until they are no longer gaining anything.
Well, Sani is running up with this. It is so unfortunate that some children dress like angels at home, but dress half naked on campus to entice their opposite gender.
Okay, at this point, let's get back to Yakasa. You know, you've had the student union leader here in Abuja. Have you, in the past, or even currently, conducted any form of research into this to actually find out what the true situation is?
Yes, we have. And beyond research, I would like to correct some misconceptions. You see, first, you need to understand that the National Universities Commission were more worried than anybody, that students that are taken into universities and lecturers and administrators are supposed to stand in locus parentis for them in place of their parents. Yes. Let me tell you, you see, the first misconception I would love to correct is lecturers hate themselves. They don't gang up against anybody. You pass through universities. There's no esprit de corps between lecturers in universities.
That's,
it doesn't. I'm just telling you facts. You
I'm
see,
sure people are screaming, no way.
No, fictions are fictions, facts are facts. These lecturers, he should know. He's in the university system right now. If lecturers love themselves so much, the university system will be a difficult place to stay. They don't. Lecturers export themselves, and lecturers are always after that. Just trying to give what to teach. Lecturers fight so much. But that's number one. Number two, the lady from Nasarawa said that, you see, the punishment is dismissal once it is established that somebody is sexually harassing a student. The lecturer is dismissed, but the dismissal is where the problem is. I'll give you a typical example of what happened in ABU. A lecturer who went after a married woman in Ahmadu Bello University there. He went after her, she refused, she told her husband. Then he was set up in a hotel room. The man was caught in the act naked because the husband said, look, hired a hotel and said, go into the hotel, make sure he undresses first. When he does, take his dress and then shout, we'll come in. That happened. He was taken to court. Before the court, it was reported to the university. They took it to the council disciplinary committee. He was dismissed. Do you know what happened? The guy went to court, and the court said he should be reinstated because of technical problem. What they said was, what they thought to the university, that it went to a committee of the council. Okay. But the law says the man must be given fair hearing, he must appear before a council. The university thought that he's appearing before a committee of a council, it's the same with appearing before a council. The court said no. What saved the situation was the fact that, you see, the husband on his own went to court alone and got a conviction, and the man was sent to jail for a while. And the university is now trying to formalize and say that, well, even if we fail here, he's an ex-convict, he cannot come in. That's what they're trying to harp on. It's difficult for universities. You see, they don't run away from it, but it's difficult for them to get conviction. These lawyers that are fighting for these laws to come are the ones who will go and defend a sexual harasser and make sure that he wins. So it's not easy for the universities. We do research much more than that. We will insist, if we know of a case of sexual harassment in the university and the university is playing with it, we will come in and ensure and insist that that case is prosecuted and the guy is sacked. That's what we do at the level of the National Universities Commission. We don't take it lightly. You see, I'm giving you facts. The fact that I'm saying that it's not as rampant as people are saying, I'm trying for us to get facts. With facts, we can get a better law. With facts, we know where we are going. If we follow emotions, if we just follow sentiment and say this happens rampantly, it happens every day, we have 150-something universities now in this country. How often does it get reported?
We're glad you said you've been into research.
Yes.
We also have a story of a university in United States
Yes.
where such incident took place,
Yes.
IBB University,
we know.
that it happened, and both the lecturer and the girl
Yes.
were sanctioned.
Yes.
And we also had one
Yes.
in Abuja State,
Yes.
where a lady completely planned, as you said,
Yes.
and set a man up.
Yes.
Right, and he was caught.
Yes.
Now, the committee set up to look into that. We're not saying that the guy was abducted. The guy was not claiming that he was kidnapped. And that, so this is kind of story. So
I'm just giving you the legal perspective of it.
There's a level of esprit de corps among the lecturers.
There's none. So you see, what's happening is the university has been very cautious. The university will spend millions, as ABU did, only to get a conviction overturned. The issue is they are being careful. I've told you, and I'm maintaining that a girl that you yourself mentioned that most serious girls will, for fear of being stigmatized, would rather keep quiet. The ones that are bold enough to come out are usually the ones that actually, the first instance, present themselves, and then they will like to cause commotion. And when the committee now realize that this girl is not entirely innocent, of course she should go as well, because she will be a bad influence in the community.
All right. Thank you very much,
Yes.
Madam Yakasai. Back to Honorable Mrapo. Now, this is something that is even beyond the tertiary institutions now, from even some of the tweets, says from the home, even to the larger part of the society. This is one area we need to start looking into. We just talked about the case of a 12-year-old that was raped. So how do we begin to place this in perspective to actually address this? More legislation or what?
I've always said the problem of Nigeria is not laws, but the application of those laws. We have too many laws and more are coming in every day. But if you look at what the Malam Ibrahim said, look at the process of getting justice. That's where the problem is. If a student is harassed in, say, 100 level, and you decide or your parents decide to take it up with the university, through to the university commission, through to court, that child will be appearing in court. The child will be called upon to give evidence of what happened. That child is already distracted from the academic work. So the problem is, how do we now begin to get our justice system to dispense with such issues faster than they do presently? And like you said, true, there's this case with a federal medical center where a doctor misbehaved thoroughly. And that doctor went to court. And the court asked that the hospital should reinstate the doctor. These technicalities in court processes and all that. So I think it was the union president that said that they should, or you, or somebody, I think, okay, somebody tweeted that you have an independent body. For instance, outside the university system, where cases of rape and sexual harassment can be reported. Maybe a time frame. That should be a policy of the executive, now not a legislative law from the legislation, because we have more than enough. Like the lady in Port Harcourt was saying, I said I didn't want to go into details of domestication and adoption and all that, because if you also get to know the persons that are hindrances to certain laws, you weep for the country. In this harassment issue, everybody is involved. The person in the judiciary that is making it look like, oh, just get a good lawyer now, we can get you off the hook from here. You are involved. The person in the executive that is doing something that will make the case not to move, either through a support system or a pattern for the VC and all that collaboration, you are involved. The parents at home who does not start from age 3, 5, 7 upwards to begin to teach the daughter decency, you are involved. The girl that is walking naked on the street, you are involved. But I like to say that if you are a caregiver
you should not be a care abuser.
All right, thank you at that point. Thank you indeed. We are returning to you, Inime Aguma of FIDA in Port Harcourt. Now, let's look at this issue beyond the school system. What about the workplace, and how profound is this issue beyond the schools? You know, because we have had stories where some complain of their supervisor in a workplace that will say, you won't get promoted until you do this, or I won't give you a juicy job to do, you know, until you do this. So how would you react to that?
I totally agree with you that the matter of sexual harassment is beyond the schools. It's in the workplace. It's even in associations, various groups. Like I said, once men and women are together, whichever person is more powerful, you know, is always the sexual harasser, because you have something to give. Now, going forward from there, I would say that the law or the bill before the House of Representatives presently on sexual harassment should encompass, should go beyond the school units. It should also take care of the workplace. It should take care of any form of employment. Even domestic employment, we hear stories of what happens between the ogas and the house helps. We hear all manner of things. And I would also suggest that a register of offenders be included in that law, so that once you are found guilty and you're an offender, it is registered that this is what you're capable of doing. There is a need for us to use this opportunity to make sure that we have a law that is holistical, so that we don't have ourselves trying to promulgate or trying to draft another bill in the very near future. Most importantly, we need to, as a society, create awareness on the existence of all of these laws. The Honorable Member of the House of Representatives said something that was very critical, and that is that we have so many laws. Application is the problem. So why are the laws not being applied? Why are they not being implemented? So many people do not even know which laws exist. They don't know the protection the law affords them. Some people also, you know, do not have the capacity to pay for legal representation. Some do not even have the capacity to transport themselves to court. So there are many issues that we need to look at to ensure the implementation of these laws. Now, there are some stakeholders that are identified in these laws to provide care for victims. They also have not lived up to their responsibilities. For instance, a girl that is in a home and is defiled by even her father, we have cases like that, by her father. You take her out, she makes a report to the police, maybe she comes to FIDA, we take her to the police, she makes a report with her mother in tow, and we do not have an accommodation where both mother and child can return to. They are forced to return back to the home where the child has been victimized, where the child has been assaulted. What will become of that case? Obviously, after a while, the case will be withdrawn from court. The story you will hear is it's her father, it's her uncle, it's her relative, and there is no law in Nigeria that allows for settlement of criminal matters out of court. But oftentimes, what they do is to starve the proceedings, starve the prosecution of any witness, and the case dies. So there is a need for us to reorientate the minds of our people and to ensure that the facilities that should support these laws are put in place. We must strengthen all institutions that have to do with caregiving, especially in terms of sexual offenses and sexual harassment, especially for our young persons.
Thank you very much indeed for your wonderful contributions this morning to the program. Thank you, Inime Aguma, President of FIDA. Thank you once again for being part of our show. Okay, now back to the studio here. Let's we are rounding off at the moment. Yeah. We're rounding off at the moment. So your final thoughts.
Parents should encourage their children to at least report back to them. And parents should champion the cause of their children when they are harassed. See, they're kids. They should have the confidence of that, and no parent should take it lightly if it happens. But I'm assuring you that at the level of the National Universities Commission, we have never left any case of sexual harassment unresolved if it is brought to us. And the punishment is dismissal once it is established. But no, the process is not easy. We have the laws to contend with, we have the courts to contend with. So I'm encouraging students to, especially the student union, to also champion the cause of their colleagues when that happened.
Yeah, beyond the issue of the dress code, which already some schools are adopting, yes. What other means are you going to be looking at?
The vice chancellors, we've done a seminar for them on this, and we have a standing committee both at the National Universities Commission and in the Ministry of Education on matters like this. It's called a committee on sorting. We look beyond just sexual harassment. We are looking at sexual harassment, looking at sorting, looking at cultism. You see, they're all interlinked. They're interwoven. When you have kids in cult, they do a lot of things that lead to more than sexual harassment. So we are encouraging universities not to be in denial, not to put matters like this under the carpet, to prosecute or to report to us, to report to the ministry, to report to their council. Universities are semi-autonomous when it comes to matters like this. So we are encouraging them to be what they should be, to stand as parents to students that are taken to them.
Okay, all right. Okoye Kola?
Yes. I think NUC has to wake up from their slumber. Yes. The major thing that NUC has been doing categorically from their own point of duty, 70%, they focus only on accreditation of courses in universities. There has never been a time I've heard any program organized by an NUC on issues like this. Courtesan, sexual harassment on campus, sorting. And they have been getting reports, times without number.
Absolutely not true. We have produced documents. No. I'm giving you facts. Absolutely not true. We have produced books. If you don't go to a library, you'll find a book produced by NUC and Ministry of Education on cultism.
Saying beyond just producing your publications, you should
it's not publication. We've done seminars. You see, You see, we've done seminars, we've done workshops, and those books are products of such seminars and workshops. If he doesn't know, you should find out.
Are the schools invited to such seminars for you to make impact?
They're actually the schools that are there. They are the participants, not us.
No, actually, the vice chancellors are the major people they deal with.
Not the students.
They should also get the students involved. Students will be able to
the student union leader is a member of the committee on cultism.
Thing is, I want to charge Nigerian students.
Okay, charge Nigerian students.
Madam, your final thoughts, please.
They should actually know that the SUG is a body, it's a voice for the voiceless. It's what they can use to get whatever they want to get at is their right.
They are not united, and that's the problem.
You've had your time.
They are not united.
They should not just believe
you
that
can find 5-6 factions in one university, and that's the problem.
To anybody in the student government and they will not charge
them. Okay. SUG, put your hands in order too.
Yes.
Okay, Honorable Rapo.
Well, I think in the case of schools now, the teachers, whether you are a teacher, you are a professor, whatever name you are a teacher, should know that you are supposed to be a caregiver and a destiny molder. You don't destroy destinies that are put in your hands. And even in workplaces, if you're a supervisor, you are a director, sleep with a girl, sleep with a woman when she wants, when she desires you. Don't use this as a weapon to begin to get whatever you cannot in quote now. After all, I'm sorry to say, there are free women outside. So if you're so desperate, get a free woman, but don't use it to tamper with the course of life of another.
Unwelcome sexual advances, keep off. Okay. All right, Honorable Joan Murakpo, representing Anyocha Oshimili constituency in Delta State. We'd like to thank you very much for coming on the program this morning. We also like to thank Malam Ibrahim Yakasai, Director of Corporate Communications, National University Commission. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
And also appreciation to the President, Student Union Government, University of Abuja, Okoyekola Ajiboye. Thank you very much for coming.
You're welcome.
And Luta Continua.
Victoria Sata.
Keep up the good work and come together to fight what is wrong in the system. Now to sports, Kirian.
Yeah, now the sports news. World champions Germany book a place in Confederations Cup final against Chile. And in tennis, contestant world #1 Adelike Kerber at Eastbourne. Now let's join our